My mother stood in my office, pointed at my sister, and said, "Emily, you've had enough success. It's time you gave Rachel half the company." I actually laughed. Not because it was funny. Because 3 days earlier, Rachel had secretly tried to replace me as the owner. And my mother knew about it. What they didn't know was that I had already opened one folder. Inside that folder was something that could destroy everything Rachel had been telling the family. And when I finally showed it to them, my father was the first person to realize they had made a terrible mistake. My name is Emily Carter. 5 years ago, I started a small digital design company from my apartment. At the beginning, nobody believed in it, especially my family. Rachel used to joke, "You're basically working on a laptop all day." But the company grew. 5 employees became 12, then 20. Eventually, we landed a major corporate contract. And suddenly, my family stopped calling it a little business. They started calling it our family company. That phrase should have warned me. Rachel had recently lost her job. Mom kept telling me, "Your sister needs a fresh start." I helped Rachel financially twice, then 3 times. But eventually I said no. That was when everything changed. One Monday morning, my operations manager called me. "Emily, there's a problem." I asked what happened. He said, "Rachel came here this morning and told everyone she's taking over." I thought he was joking. He wasn't. Rachel had shown employees an email supposedly written by me saying I was stepping away from the company. I immediately checked my account. There had been an attempted change to the company's ownership documents. Someone had tried to add Rachel as a controlling partner. I called my mother. She didn't even sound surprised. Instead, she said, "Emily, stop making everything about yourself. Mom, Rachel tried to take my company." "She isn't taking it. She's helping you." "Helping me do what?" Mom sighed. "You're always working. Rachel could manage the business while you finally live your life." I couldn't believe it. Then she said something worse. "You already have enough." I didn't argue. I simply said, "Okay," and hung up. That evening, I went back to my office. I opened a folder I hadn't touched in 2 years. Inside were the original incorporation documents, the contracts, the ownership agreements, and one document Rachel had completely forgotten existed. It was an agreement she had signed herself. 2 years earlier, Rachel had asked me for money to pay off a personal debt. In exchange, she had offered to help with some administrative work for my company. The agreement clearly stated that she had no ownership, no voting rights, and no authority to represent the company. But that wasn't the important part. At the bottom was her signature. And beside it was a clause stating that attempting to alter ownership without my written approval would immediately terminate her access to company systems. I called my lawyer. The next morning, Rachel arrived at the office with Mom and Dad. Rachel walked in smiling. She looked at me and said, "Let's make this easy." Mom sat beside her. Dad remained standing. Rachel slid a document across my desk. "Sign this." I looked at it. It transferred 49% of my company to Rachel. Mom leaned forward. "You don't need all of it, Emily." I looked at her. Who said I was giving her anything? Rachel smiled. "Because we're family." I slowly opened my folder. Then I placed Rachel's old agreement on the desk. Her smile disappeared. I said, "You're right. We are family." Then I pointed to her signature. "But family doesn't mean you get to steal what someone built." Rachel looked at Mom. Mom grabbed the paper. "What is this?" I answered, "The agreement Rachel signed when she borrowed money from my company." Dad finally picked it up. He read the final clause. His expression changed. "Rachel, did you try to change the ownership?" She didn't answer. Mom looked at me. "You planned this?" I shook my head. "No." Then I closed the folder. "You did." The room went completely silent. Rachel started crying. Mom immediately blamed me. "You're destroying your own sister." I looked at her. "No, Mom. I'm finally stopping her from destroying me." My lawyer sent the documents to the appropriate parties that afternoon. Rachel lost access to the company. The attempted ownership transfer was invalidated. And the employees who had been told Rachel was taking over were informed of the truth. A week later, Dad came to my office alone. He sat across from me. Then he said something I'd never heard him say before. Your mother and I were wrong. I didn't respond. He looked around my office. You really built all this yourself. I smiled. That's what I've been trying to tell you for 5 years. He lowered his eyes. I'm proud of you. For the first time I believed him. Not because he finally said it, but because this time, he wasn't asking me to give anything away. And that's when I realized something. Sometimes the strongest response to people who underestimate you isn't revenge. You don't have to destroy them. You simply have to stop letting them have access to what they never earned. And sometimes, one folder is enough to change everything.